I am sitting in my parked car in the driveway, not ready to go inside. The engine is off, but my hands are still gripping the steering wheel like it might save me from drowning. Through the windshield, I can see the senior living studio with the shared hallway and the fluorescent light that flickers in the entryway. That light has been broken for 3 weeks. No one is coming to fix it. This is not the kind of place where anyone cares about details like that. My phone is face down on the passenger seat. I cannot look at it again. But the text is burned into my mind anyway. 6 words that changed everything. 6 words that confirmed what I had been watching with my own eyes at Gate 18. You're not flying with us. I am wearing the forest green dress from my working days. The one I wore to office meetings when I still had a career, when I still had a life that made sense. The fabric is starting to pill at the seams, but it is the only thing I own that still makes me feel like a person instead of a ghost. It is spring in Southside Chicago. The windows are finally open after the long winter, and everywhere around me, life is starting again. Trees are budding. People are smiling. The whole world is waking up. But I feel like I am dying. The red beans and rice I put on the stove this morning are probably burning by now. I can almost smell them from here, that acrid scent of something good turning to char. I should go inside. I should turn off the burner. I should do 100 small things that responsible people do. But I cannot move. My body will not cooperate. It knows something my mind is still trying to deny. This morning started like every other morning. I said the prayer I always say before my feet touch the floor. Dear God, help me survive one more day. Give me the strength to keep going. Protect me from the darkness that wants to swallow me whole. I have said that prayer every morning for the past 8 months, ever since I moved into the studio apartment that costs more than my part-time income at the diner can cover. Ever since my entire life collapsed, and I found myself at 50 years old with nothing but a bag of clothes and my great-aunt's worn leather watch on my nightstand. That watch stopped working years ago, but I cannot throw it away. It belonged to her. The family matriarch who raised me after my parents died, who taught me about strength and resilience and the importance of standing on your own 2 feet. She died 3 years ago, and the grief still catches me off guard at the strangest moments. I will be pouring coffee at the diner or folding sheets in the shared laundry room, and suddenly I will remember her hands, strong and wrinkled, showing me how to make her red beans and rice. I will remember her voice, sharp but loving, telling me I could survive anything if I just kept my spine straight and my eyes forward. She would be so ashamed of me now, ashamed of how I let this happen, ashamed of how completely I trusted the wrong person. Ashamed of how I am sitting in this car at 50 years old with nowhere to go and no one to call. Let me back up. Let me tell you how I ended up here in this parking lot, paralyzed by a text message, watching my life burn inside an apartment I cannot afford while spring blooms around me like a cruel joke. His name was Daniel. We met 15 years ago at a community event in the neighborhood. One of those small-town Main Street festivals with local shops and a diner setting up booths. I was working the church tent, handing out prayer cards and information about our programs. He was charming, attentive. He listened when I talked about my great-aunt, about how much I missed her, even though she had been gone for less than a year at that point. He seemed to understand grief in a way most people do not. We dated for 2 years before we got married. He moved into my house, the small bungalow my great-aunt had left me. It was not much, but it was mine, paid off, a gift she had given me before she died. I thought I was so lucky. I thought I had found someone who would love me the way she had loved me, fiercely and without condition. I was so stupid. The betrayal started small. He suggested we refinance the house to get a better interest rate. He worked in real estate. He said he knew what he was doing. I trusted him. He brought the papers home, and I signed them without reading them carefully. Why would I? He was my husband. He loved me. We were building a life together. Then he suggested combining our bank accounts. It would be easier, he said, more efficient. We could manage our money better as a team. I agreed. I transferred my savings, my retirement account, everything into joint accounts that he managed. He was better with numbers, he said. He would take care of everything. And he did. He took care of draining every account. He took care of refinancing the house, not into better terms, but into his name only, using forged signatures and fake contracts that looked exactly like the real thing. Documentary evidence that held up in court because it had my signature, digital but legally binding. His lover worked in finance. She knew exactly how to make it all look legitimate. By the time I realized what was happening, I had nothing. The house was gone. The accounts were empty. My retirement savings had been transferred piece by piece over 2 years into his personal accounts, and when I tried to fight it, the lawyers told me I had no case. The paperwork was ironclad. I had signed everything. The fact that I had not known what I was signing did not matter. The fact that I had been manipulated did not matter. The fact that I was 50 years old and suddenly homeless did not matter. The law is very clear about property and signatures. The law does not care about love or trust or the ways people betray each other in private. 3 months ago, Daniel told me he wanted a divorce. He said he had met someone else. He said I should move out of the house because it was his house now and he needed space. I had 2 weeks to pack my things and leave. 2 weeks to figure out where a 50-year-old woman with no savings and a part-time job was supposed to go. I moved into this studio apartment in the senior living complex because it was the only place I could afford with the meager income from my shifts at the diner. The deposit took my last $400. The first month's rent took everything else. I have been scraping by ever since, selling my furniture piece by piece just to make rent. My bed, my grandmother's china, the dining table where my great-aunt used to serve Sunday dinners. Everything is gone now except her watch. That watch on my nightstand, the one that stopped working years ago. I cannot sell it. It is the only thing I have left that proves I was ever loved by anyone. And then, this morning happened. This morning when I thought maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. Because Daniel had called 2 weeks ago. His voice was different, softer. He said he had been thinking about everything that happened. He said he wanted to make it right. He said he had booked a trip to Miami for our anniversary, 2 tickets, and he wanted me to come. He wanted us to talk, maybe work things out, maybe find a way forward. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. Because what is the alternative? Living in this studio until the eviction notice comes? Working at the diner until my body gives out? Growing old alone with nothing but a stopped watch and a prayer? I say every morning that God has stopped answering. So I said yes. I went to the airport this morning in my forest green dress. I stood at gate 18 holding both boarding passes, waiting for him to arrive. And then I saw them. Daniel and her, his hand on her lower back, her laugh carrying across the terminal, bright and cruel. She was wearing a sundress. He was smiling. They looked happy. They looked like a couple going on vacation. And then my phone buzzed. You're not flying with us. Not a question. Not an apology. A statement. I stood there watching them board the plane. I watched him scan his ticket. I watched her loop her arm through his. I watched them disappear down the jet bridge together while I held 2 boarding passes and realized, finally, completely, that I had been set up. Again. He never wanted to reconcile. He wanted to humiliate me one more time. He wanted me to know that he had moved on, that he was happy, that I meant nothing, less than nothing. The text was not even angry. It was dismissive, casual, like I was an inconvenience he was finally done dealing with. I left the airport and drove back to South Side. I sat in this parking lot, and I realized I have 3 days until eviction. 3 days until I am on the street with nowhere to go. 3 days until even this terrible studio apartment is taken from me and I have nothing, absolutely nothing. Inside, Miss Carol from the diner will be calling soon to ask why I did not show up for my shift. She is the one good thing in my life right now, the community that has held me up when everything else fell apart. My neighbor in the building, an old church member, a local friend who brings me groceries sometimes when she knows I cannot afford them. These women are the only reason I am still alive. But even their kindness cannot pay my rent. Even their prayers cannot fix what has been broken. I take one last look at my phone. I think about calling Daniel, begging him, asking him why. But I already know why. Because he could. Because I let him. Because I was so desperate to be loved that I handed him every weapon he needed to destroy me. I finally get out of the car. The spring air is warm and sweet. Somewhere nearby, someone is grilling. The smell makes my stomach clench with hunger. I have not eaten since yesterday morning. The red beans and rice were supposed to be my food for the next 3 days. Now they are ruined, just like everything else. I walk to the front door of the building, past the flickering light that no one will fix, up the stairs to the second floor, down the shared hallway with its thin carpet and water-stained walls. My door is third on the left. I unlock it and step inside. The smoke alarm is screaming. The pot on the stove is black and crusted. The whole apartment smells like burnt food and failure. I turn off the burner and carry the ruined pot to the sink. There is nothing to save. I scrape the charred beans into the trash and watch $15 worth of groceries disappear. $15 I did not have to spare. I sit on the edge of my bed, the donated twin mattress someone from church gave me when I moved in. On the nightstand, my great-aunt's watch gleams dully in the afternoon light. I pick it up and hold it in my palm. The leather band is cracked. The crystal is scratched. The hands are frozen at 3:15, the exact moment it stopped working 5 years ago. She would know what to do. My great-aunt. She always knew what to do. She was the kind of woman who survived the Depression and 2 wars and a husband who drank himself to death. She raised 6 kids on a cleaning woman's salary and still managed to help everyone in the neighborhood who needed it. She was tough, uncompromising. She did not believe in self-pity or excuses. She believed in work and faith and keeping your promises even when it hurt. We did not always see eye to eye. She thought I was too soft, too trusting, too quick to forgive. But she never doubted her love for me, and I never doubted hers. When my parents died in a car accident when I was 8, she took me in without hesitation. She made room in her tiny house. She taught me to cook and clean and pray. She made sure I finished high school and went to community college. She gave me everything she had, including the house she had spent 40 years paying off. And then 3 years ago she died. Heart attack. Quick and merciless. I found her in her garden, still holding her pruning shears. She was 78 years old, and she died doing what she loved, tending to the roses she had planted when she first bought the house. I went to her funeral in the forest green dress I am wearing today. I stood at her grave and promised I would make her proud. I would live the kind of life she would respect. I would be strong like her, unbreakable. I have broken every promise I ever made to her. I am not strong. I am not unbreakable. I am sitting in a studio apartment I cannot afford, wearing a dress with pilling seams, holding a watch that does not work, waiting for the eviction notice that will make me homeless at 50 years old. If the listener has ever felt like they failed someone they loved, someone who sacrificed everything for them, then you know what I am feeling right now. You know that shame that sits in your chest like a stone. You know that voice that whispers, you are not good enough, you never were good enough, you never will be good enough. 3 days. That is how long I have left. 3 days to figure out a miracle. 3 days to find money I do not have. 3 days before I am on the street with nothing but a forest green dress and a watch that stopped working years ago. I do not know what to do. I do not know where to go. I have burned through every option, sold everything I own, borrowed from everyone I know. Miss Carroll let me skip rent on the tiny room I was staying in before this, the one I shared with 2 other women, until even her generosity ran out and I had to leave. The church gave me money twice, but they cannot keep supporting me. They have other people to help, people with children, people with more desperate needs than mine. I am alone, completely alone. And tomorrow, I will have to start packing the few things I have left, because in 3 days, the sheriff will come and put me on the street, and there is nothing I can do to stop it. The prayer I said this morning feels like a joke now. Dear God, help me survive one more day. But what is the point of surviving if this is all there is? What is the point of waking up every morning to a life that has already ended? I look at the watch in my hand. I could sell it. Someone online might give me $50 for the leather band, maybe $100 if they care about vintage items. But $50 will not save me. $100 will not save me. Nothing will save me now. I put the watch back on the nightstand. I cannot sell it. It is the only thing I have left that proves I was ever part of something bigger than this tiny room and this crushing loneliness. It is the only thing that connects me to a time when I was loved. The apartment is silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. Spring sunlight slants through the window, illuminating dust motes in the air. Somewhere outside, someone is laughing. Life goes on for everyone else. The world keeps turning, but for me, everything has stopped, just like the hands on that watch. Frozen at 3:15, the moment when time ran out. The next morning, I do not say my prayer. What is the point? God has not been listening for months. Or maybe God has been listening and this is the answer. Maybe this is what I deserve. Maybe this is justice for being so stupid, for trusting so completely, for believing that someone could actually love me the way my great-aunt loved me. I am supposed to work at the diner today, but I call in sick. Miss Carroll's voice on the phone is worried. She asks if I am okay. I lie and say yes. She does not believe me, but she does not push. That is the thing about Miss Carroll. She knows when to give people space. I spend the day in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what comes next. Where does a 50-year-old woman with no money and no prospects go when she has nowhere left to fall? The shelters are full. The waiting lists are months long. I could sleep in my car, but the car is 14 years old and barely runs. Eventually, it will break down, and then I will not even have that. I think about calling Daniel, not to beg, just to ask why. Why did he do this? Why did he take everything? Wasn't it enough to leave me? Did he have to destroy me too? But I know I will never call, because I already know the answer. He did it because he could, because I made it easy, because some people are predators, and some people are prey, and I have always been prey. Ever since my parents died, and I became the scared little girl who needed saving. My great-aunt tried to teach me to be a predator, or at least to be someone who could not be preyed upon. She used to tell me stories about her life, about the men who tried to take advantage of her, about the landlords who tried to cheat her, about all the ways the world tries to grind down women who have nothing. And she would end every story the same way. You have to be smarter than them. You have to see them coming before they see you. You have to protect yourself because no one else will. I did not listen. I thought love meant trust. I thought marriage meant safety. I thought if I was kind enough, good enough, generous enough, I would be protected. I was wrong about everything. The second day, I force myself to get out of bed. I need to start packing. I need to figure out what I can carry and what I have to abandon. The apartment is small enough that I do not have much. Some clothes, a few dishes, the mattress, which belongs to the church and will need to be returned. A box of papers, my Bible, which I have not opened in months because the prayers inside feel like empty promises. I pull the box of papers out from under the bed. Medical bills I cannot pay. Divorce papers Daniel's lawyer sent me. The lease agreement for this apartment, which will be void in 2 days. And underneath all of that, random documents from my old life, photos from my wedding, a program from my great-aunt's funeral, old tax returns from when I still had income worth reporting. I am about to shove the box back under the bed when something falls out. A prayer card, white with gold trim, worn at the edges, my great-aunt's funeral card. I remember the church handing them out to everyone who came. On the front is a photo of her, stern-faced and proud, wearing the navy blue dress she saved for special occasions. On the back, a prayer. I turn the card over, but there is something else written there. In the margin, in my great-aunt's handwriting, a string of numbers. I stare at them. They look like a combination, but a combination to what? And then I remember. The lockbox at the bank. The one they told me I could not access without additional documentation and 2 signatures. I went there 3 years ago, right after the funeral, trying to close out her accounts. But the bank manager said the lockbox required special authorization. He said I would need to bring probate documents and multiple forms of ID, and maybe even a lawyer. I gave up. I assumed the lockbox was empty anyway. My great-aunt did not have money. She lived on Social Security and whatever odd jobs she could pick up. What would she have kept in a lockbox? But she wrote this combination on her funeral card. She put it in my hand the day of her funeral, and I kept it for 3 years without knowing what it meant. I grab my purse. I grab my keys. I drive to the bank on the small town main street, past the local shops and the diner where I should be working but cannot face today. The bank is old-fashioned, with marble floors and wooden counters, the kind of place that has been here since before I was born. I walk up to the first available teller, a young woman with kind eyes. I need to access a safe deposit box, I say. My voice is shaking. It belonged to my great-aunt. She passed away 3 years ago. The teller nods. Do you have the key? No, but I have the combination. I show her the prayer card. She studies it. Then she calls over a supervisor. The supervisor looks at the card, looks at me, looks at the card again. She asks for my ID. She types something into her computer. She frowns. She calls another supervisor. 3 people are now staring at this prayer card and whispering to each other like I have brought them a bomb instead of a piece of paper. Finally, the manager comes out. He is an older man, gray-haired and serious. He asks me to come to his office. I follow him, my heart pounding. Something is wrong. They are going to tell me the lockbox does not exist, or that I do not have authorization, or that I have wasted their time and mine. We sit down across from each other at his desk. He is still holding the prayer card. Mrs. Patterson, he says, when did your great-aunt pass away? 3 years ago, almost exactly. He nods. And you never accessed the safe deposit box? I tried, 3 years ago. But your bank said I needed additional documentation. I did not have it. I assumed the box was empty. He is quiet for a long moment. Then he says, the box is not empty, and based on the documentation in our system, you are the sole authorized accessor. You always were. I am not sure why you were turned away 3 years ago, but that was an error on our part. My stomach drops. What is in the box? I cannot tell you that until we open it together. But there is a note in the file. Your great-aunt left specific instructions that the box was only to be opened by you, using the combination she provided, and only after her death. He stands up. I follow him to the vault in the back of the bank. He uses his key, and I use the combination from the prayer card. The lockbox slides out. It is smaller than I expected, just big enough for a few documents. He carries it to a private room and leaves me alone with it. My hands are shaking as I open the lid. Inside is a single envelope. My name is written on the front in my great-aunt's handwriting. I pick it up, and something else slides to the bottom of the box. Official-looking papers. I pull them out. They are certificates of deposit, made out in my name. I do not understand what I am looking at first. The numbers do not make sense. And then I see the total at the bottom of the page. $560,000. I stop breathing. I read the number again. $560,000, in my name, set up by my great-aunt, to mature after her death. This cannot be real. My great-aunt did not have this kind of money. She lived paycheck to paycheck her entire life. She clipped coupons. She mended clothes instead of buying new ones. She worked into her 70s because she could not afford to retire. Where did this money come from? I open the envelope with shaking hands. Inside is a letter, 2 pages, handwritten, in the same strong script as the combination on the prayer card. My dearest girl, the letter begins. If you are reading this, I am gone. And if you are reading this, you need help. That was always the plan. I knew you would only come looking for this box if things got desperate. You are too proud otherwise, too stubborn. You get that from me. First, let me explain the money. It did not come from anything illegal or magical. It came from being smart and patient and understanding that sometimes the only way to survive is to plan for the worst. When your grandfather died, his life insurance paid out more than anyone expected. I took that money, and instead of spending it, I put it away. I lived like I always had, on Social Security and odd jobs, because I did not need more than that. I needed to know that you would have something when I was gone. I set up these certificates in your name because I did not trust anyone else, not the cousins who would have fought over it, not the church, as much as I loved them, not even you. Because if you had known about it while I was alive, you would have insisted I use it for myself. You would have wanted me to have an easier life. But I did not want an easier life. I wanted to give you a better one. I know you, my girl. I know you are kind. I know you trust people. I know you believe the best in everyone, even when they do not deserve it. Those are beautiful qualities, but they will also get you hurt. And I will not be there to protect you when it happens. So I'm protecting you now, the only way I know how. With money, with security, with the knowledge that no matter what happens, no matter who betrays you or leaves you or tries to take everything from you, you will have this. You will have what I built for you. Do not feel guilty about taking it. Do not feel like you do not deserve it. You deserve everything I never had. You deserve safety and peace and a home that no one can take from you. You deserve to sleep at night without worrying about where your next meal is coming from or whether you will have a roof over your head. You deserve to be free. Use this money wisely. Buy yourself a house, something small and sturdy, something that is yours and only yours. Put the rest away for emergencies. Help people if you can, but do not let them take advantage of you. Learn to say no. Learn to protect yourself. Learn that love does not mean giving everything away until you have nothing left. I am sorry I was not softer with you. I am sorry I did not hug you more or tell you I loved you more often. I thought I was teaching you to be strong, but maybe I just taught you to accept less than you deserved. If that is true, I hope you can forgive me, and I hope you can use this gift to build something better, something that would make me proud. I love you. I have always loved you, even when I was hard on you, even when I expected too much, even when I made you feel like you were not good enough. You were always good enough. You were always more than enough. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. Be safe, my girl. Be happy. And remember that I am still watching over you, always. All my love, your great aunt. I am sobbing before I finish the first paragraph. By the time I reach the end, I am gasping for air. The letter is shaking in my hands. Tears are dripping onto the paper, smudging the ink. She knew. She knew I would fall. She knew I would need this. She knew somehow that I would end up desperate and alone and searching for anything to save me. And she made sure I would find it. $560,000. Generational wealth from someone who had so little. A woman who worked as a cleaning lady and never owned a new car and mended her clothes until they fell apart. She saved all of that for me. She lived without so that I would never have to. I do not know how long I sit in that private room, crying and reading the letter over and over. Eventually, the manager knocks softly on the door. He asks if I'm okay. I tell him yes. I tell him I need help accessing the funds. He says of course. He says they will need to verify everything. But based on the documentation, the money is mine. It always has been. It takes 3 hours to process everything, 3 hours of paperwork and questions and verification. 3 hours of sitting in that office while the spring afternoon fades into evening outside. 3 hours of feeling like I am in a dream that I will wake up from at any moment. But it is real. The money is real. The accounts are transferred into my name. The manager gives me his card and tells me to call if I have any questions. He shakes my hand and tells me how lucky I am to have had someone who loved me so much. Lucky. That is the word he uses. Lucky. I walk out of the bank as the sun is setting. The sky is pink and gold and impossibly beautiful. The spring air smells like flowers and fresh-cut grass. The small-town main street is quiet, just a few people walking home from work or stopping into the diner for dinner. I get in my car. I sit in the driver's seat with the letter in my lap and my great-aunt's watch on the seat beside me. And I realize that I am not homeless anymore. I am not desperate anymore. I am not at the mercy of anyone anymore. I am free. She set me free. The drive back to Southside feels different. The same streets I have driven 1,000 times now look like something new. I am not going back to that studio apartment to pack my things and prepare for eviction. I am going back to collect what little I have and leave on my own terms. I do not have to wait for the sheriff. I do not have to beg for more time. I do not have to humiliate myself anymore. I park in the lot outside the building. I climb the stairs to the second floor. I walk down the shared hallway to my door, third on the left. Inside, the apartment still smells faintly of burnt beans, but it does not matter anymore. None of this matters anymore. I call Miss Carroll first. I tell her I will not be coming back to the diner. I tell her I appreciate everything she did for me, but I need to take some time to figure out my next steps. She is quiet for a moment, then asks if I am okay. Really okay. I tell her yes. For the first time in a long time, I am okay. Then I call the apartment manager. I tell him I will be moving out immediately. I will pay the last month's rent and any fees I owe. He is surprised. He asks if I found another place. I tell him yes, something better. Something mine. The next 3 days pass in a blur. I find a lawyer, a good one, recommended by Miss Carroll. She specializes in financial abuse cases. She listens to my story about Daniel and the forged documents and the joint accounts he drained. She tells me that even though the divorce is finalized, there are options. We can pursue a fraud case. We can try to recover some of what was stolen. She asks if I want to fight. I think about it. I think about Daniel and his lover on that plane to Miami. I think about the text message. I think about the house he stole and the retirement savings he emptied and all the ways he systematically destroyed my life. And I realize I do not want revenge. I do not want to spend years in court fighting someone who will never admit what he did. I do not want him to have any more of my time or energy or thoughts. I do not want to give him the satisfaction of knowing he still has power over me. I want to move on. I want to build something new, something he can never touch. The lawyer understands. She tells me that sometimes the best revenge is living well. She tells me that my great-aunt gave me the greatest gift possible, freedom, and I should use it. I spend the next week looking at houses, small ones, like my great-aunt instructed. Something sturdy and safe and mine. I find a bungalow in a quiet neighborhood not far from where I grew up. 2 bedrooms, a little yard, old-fashioned but well-maintained. The kind of house where you could raise a family or grow old in peace. I buy it outright. Cash. No mortgage, no loans. No one can ever take it from me. Moving day is warm and bright, the kind of spring day that feels like a promise. I do not have much to move, just my clothes and a few dishes and the watch. But Miss Carroll shows up with 2 of her daughters. My old church member brings her husband. A few other neighbors I barely know come to help. They all know pieces of my story. They know about Daniel. They know about the betrayal, and they want to make sure I know I am not alone. We carry boxes into the house. We hang curtains. We set up the donated furniture they all brought, things they did not need anymore but thought I could use. A kitchen table, a comfortable chair, lamps and blankets, and all the small things that turn a house into a home. By evening, the house feels lived in. Miss Carroll makes her famous red beans and rice in my new kitchen, the smell filling every room. We sit around the table and eat and talk and laugh. And for the first time in years, I feel like I belong somewhere. After everyone leaves, I sit alone in my living room. The watch is on the mantel now, positioned where I can see it from anywhere in the room. The hands are still frozen at 3:15, but it does not feel like a symbol of time running out anymore. It feels like a reminder, a promise. She is still with me, my great aunt, still protecting me, still watching over me. I pull out the letter and read it again. The paper is soft now from being handled so many times. The ink is smudged in places from my tears, but her words are clear. You deserve to be free. I am free now. She made sure of that, and I will not waste it. The next few months are about rebuilding. Not just my life, but myself. I start volunteering at a legal aid clinic that helps women in situations like mine. Women who have been financially abused. Women who signed documents without understanding what they were signing. Women who trusted the wrong people and lost everything. I tell them my story. I show them that survival is possible. I connect them with lawyers who know how to fight these cases. I help them understand their rights. I hold their hands while they cry and rage and grieve. And I remind them over and over that they are not alone. All 50 American states have laws protecting vulnerable adults. I did not know that when I was going through it. I did not know I had options. I thought I was stuck with the consequences of my own trust. But the laws exist. The protections exist. We just have to know where to look and how to ask for help. The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 6 seniors worldwide suffers abuse. 1 in 6. The numbers are staggering, and most never report it. Most stay silent because they are ashamed or afraid or do not think anyone will believe them. I am not silent anymore. I tell my story to anyone who will listen. And slowly, I start to see the impact. Women reach out. They share their stories. They ask for help. They start to believe that maybe they deserve better. Maybe they can be free too. 6 months after finding the money, I start a foundation. I name it after my great aunt. It provides emergency funds to women who are escaping financial abuse. Small amounts, just enough to cover a security deposit or first month's rent or legal fees. The kind of lifeline that can mean the difference between homelessness and hope. I use my great aunt's watch as the logo. Those frozen hands. That stopped time. A reminder that even when everything seems over, there can be a new beginning. The foundation grows faster than I expected. Donations come in from people I have never met, people who have their own stories of being saved by someone who loved them. We help dozens of women in the first year, then hundreds. The work is exhausting and heartbreaking, and the most meaningful thing I have ever done. Miss Carroll tells me my great-aunt would be proud. I think she is right. I think this is exactly what she hoped I would do with her gift. Not just survive, but help others survive too. One afternoon, almost a year after I found the letter, I'm working at the clinic when a woman walks in. She is younger than me, maybe 35, wearing a stained shirt and holding a trash bag of belongings. She looks exactly like I did a year ago, desperate, defeated, ready to give up. She sits down across from me and tells me her story. Her husband forged her signature on loan documents. He took out credit cards in her name. He emptied their joint accounts and left her with nothing but debt. She has been sleeping in her car for 2 weeks. She does not know what to do. I listen. I take notes. I tell her about the laws that protect her. I give her the names of lawyers who will work pro bono. I write her a check from the foundation to cover a month's rent in a safe place. And then I tell her about my great-aunt, about the letter, about the gift that saved my life. I tell her that even when you think no one cares, even when you think you are completely alone, there might be someone watching over you, someone who loved you, someone who is still protecting you, even from beyond. Her eyes fill with tears. She asks how I survived it, how I kept going when everything was gone. I show her the photo of my great-aunt's watch on my phone. I tell her about the frozen hands, about time stopping and then starting again, about discovering that the end is sometimes just a different kind of beginning. You're going to be okay, I tell her. I promise you, you're going to be okay. She does not believe me. I can see it in her face. But that is okay. I did not believe it either when people told me. Belief comes later, after you have survived long enough to look back and see how far you have come. I walk her out of the clinic. I watch her get into her car, that trash bag of belongings beside her, and I send up a prayer, the same one I say every morning now. Not a plea for survival, but a thank you. Thank you for the people who love us enough to save us. Thank you for the gifts that come when we need them most. Thank you for second chances and new beginnings, and all the ways grace finds us in the dark. Spring has turned to summer, has turned to fall, has turned to winter, and now it is spring again. The windows are open, the air is warm and sweet. Life is starting over, just like it does every year. I am sitting in my living room, the one I own, in the house no one can take from me. My great-aunt's watch is on the mantel. The hands are still frozen at 3:15. But I do not see it as a stopped clock anymore. I see it as a reminder that time is not always linear, that the past can reach forward to save the future, that love transcends death and distance and all the ways we think we are alone. Daniel is still out there somewhere, with his lover, living in the house he stole. I heard through Miss Carroll that they got married last month. I felt nothing when I heard the news. No anger, no sadness, no regret. They are strangers to me now, part of a life that feels like it happened to someone else. Sometimes I think about sending him a message, not to gloat, not to tell him about the money, just to say thank you. Because if he had not destroyed me so completely, I would never have gone looking for that lockbox. I would never have found the letter. I would never have understood the depth of my great-aunt's love. I would never have started the foundation, or helped all those women, or discovered that my pain had a purpose. But I do not send the message, because he does not deserve my gratitude. He deserves nothing from me. Not my anger, not my forgiveness, not my acknowledgement. The best revenge really is living well. And I am living very well. If you are listening to this story from somewhere in the world, maybe you are in a situation like I was. Maybe you are sitting in a car you cannot afford, staring at an apartment you are about to lose, wondering how you will survive the next day. Maybe someone you trusted has betrayed you. Maybe you think you are alone. I want you to know something. You are not alone. There are laws that protect you. There are people who will help you. And maybe, somewhere, there is someone who loved you enough to leave you a gift you have not found yet. Not necessarily money. Maybe just a memory, a lesson, a reminder that you are worth saving. Look for it. Search through the old boxes. Read the letters you have been avoiding. Open the doors you assumed were locked. The answer might be there, waiting for you to be desperate enough to find it. And if you are someone who has resources, who has been lucky or privileged or just careful, think about who you can protect. Think about the people you love who might fall someday. Think about what you can leave them that will catch them when they do. It does not have to be money. It can be knowledge, connection, a path forward, anything that says, I see you, I love you. I will not let you disappear. My great-aunt had so little, but she gave me everything. She gave me safety and freedom and proof that I was worth protecting. She gave me a second chance, and I am spending the rest of my life making sure other people get second chances too. The foundation has helped 347 women so far. 347 women who thought they had no options, no hope, no future. 347 women who found out they were wrong, who found out that help exists, that recovery is possible, that they are not alone. I keep every letter they send me, every thank you note, every update about their lives. I keep them in a box in my closet, right next to the box with my great-aunt's letter. Reminders that love multiplies, that one act of generosity can ripple out in ways we never imagine, that saving one person can save dozens more. This is what my great-aunt understood. This is what she was teaching me all along. Strength is not about being hard or unbreakable. Strength is about building something that lasts longer than you do. Strength is about protecting people even after you are gone. I am 51 now, older than I was when I sat in that parking lot staring at a text message that confirmed my worst fears. But I feel younger, lighter, more alive than I have in years. The forest green dress is retired now. Too many memories. I have new clothes, simple things, comfortable things, but nothing expensive, because I remember what it feels like to have nothing, and I never want to forget. The watch is still on my mantle, still frozen at 3:15. I will never fix it, because it does not need to be fixed. It is perfect exactly as it is. A stopped clock that started everything. A reminder that time is not what matters. Love is what matters. And love does not stop. Love does not run out. Love keeps going, long after the hands freeze and the heart stops and the person we love is gone. My great-aunt has been dead for 4 years now, but she saved my life this year. She reached across death and time and pulled me back from the edge. She gave me everything I needed to survive and then rebuild, and then help others do the same. She is still with me. She will always be with me. Every time I write a check from the foundation, every time I sit across from a woman who has lost everything, every time I tell someone they are going to be okay, she is there, her strength, her love, her absolute refusal to let me fall. This is her legacy, not the money. The money was just a tool. Her legacy is the 347 women who found hope when they thought none existed. Her legacy is the system of protection and support we are building, one person at a time. Her legacy is the knowledge that love transcends death, that protection can last forever, that we are never as alone as we think we are. So where are you listening from? Are you in a car, not ready to go inside? Are you in a house that does not feel like home? Are you sitting with a loss so profound you cannot imagine recovering? I need you to know, recovery is possible. Salvation can come from the most unexpected places. Sometimes the people who love us most are the ones who save us when we think we cannot be saved. Look for the signs, the prayer card with numbers in the margin, the letter you have not read, the door you assumed was locked. The gift you did not know existed, it might be there, waiting for you. A reminder that you are loved, that you are protected, that you are worth saving. And if you are the one with resources, with knowledge, with the ability to help, please do. Please think about who you can protect. Please create your own version of that lockbox, that letter, that lifeline. Because one day, someone you love might need it, and you will not be there, but your love can be. This is what I learned from my great-aunt. This is what she taught me through her death, even more than she taught me through her life. Love is not about being present. Love is about creating safety that lasts beyond presence. Love is about making sure that even when you are gone, the people you care about will still be caught when they fall. If this story resonated with you, if you know someone who needs to hear it, share it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Because these stories matter, these lessons matter. And the more we talk about financial abuse and elder protection and the ways people can save each other, the more people we might be able to help. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you to everyone who has ever loved someone enough to protect them, even from beyond. May we all be so lucky. May we all be so loved.